This is Kevin Forbesi here, and I just want to talk about some of the things that's been going on in sports recently. Crazy couple of days. Last night, LeBron hits 30,000 points, and the Cavs' free fall continues. They have lost, I think, 11 of the last 15 games. They're falling apart. Everybody thinks it's apocalypse, and I'm going to tell you guys why. Don't worry, the Cavs are going to be fine. Also, Boston loses their fourth straight game. Yikes, things not looking so good there. Jason Tatum slowing down 33% over his last handful of games from the field. Not a good sign for the Celtics, but again, they're going to be fine, guys. Don't worry about it. So let's start off the top. LeBron, 30,000 points last night. Remarkable. Fastest player ever to reach that plateau. Truly incredible. He's been known as a pass-first player his entire career. Always wants to get his teammates involved. And yet he's reached 30,000 points faster than anybody ever. Let's be careful with that wording a little bit. He's not really the fastest ever. He's just the youngest ever to reach that plateau. Wilt Chamberlain actually did it in less games. Michael Jordan reached 30,000 points in less games. But that being said, remarkable. 33 years old. The Kobe reached it when he was 34. Was the next youngest. Just remarkable the success he's had throughout his career. And he's going to be the first person to reach the 30,000 point 8,000 rebound, 8,000 assist plateau. The dude is a walking triple-double. He can do it all. There's nothing this guy cannot do in his professional career, and just truly incredible. Right now, his team is going through a little bit of a dark spot, though. Not so successful in the last handful of games. He played really well last night, 28 points, but again, no defense. They lose 112 to 104 to a Spurs team, which we'll say I'm a huge Spurs fan, but that Spurs offense isn't too good right now without Kawhi, and they're honestly not plugging. No Pau Gasol last night. They're plugging and playing players. No Monty Ginobili off the bench. No Rudy Gay. They're really struggling to score. They hardly reached 90 points in the last handful of games. They scored 112 points against this Cavaliers defense, who is now the second worst defense in the league to lowly Sacramento. Sacramento's the only team with the worst defense, which is horrible sign for the Cavs moving forward. But don't worry about that. The Cavs are going to be okay. They're going to figure this out. I mean, LeBron always has another year to hit into, and he's really just coasting right now. Not playing as much on the defensive side because he's trying to conserve energy for the playoffs. I will say, right now, there's no chance to take down the Warriors. Their defense just isn't there, and when you have defensive holes all across your lineup, there's not really a whole lot you can do. Isaiah Thomas can be a great scorer, but who does he guard against the Warriors? Steph Curry would torch him. Can't even contest Klay Thompson. Draymond Green would bully him. I mean, there's nowhere to put Isaiah Thomas, and he's a great kid, great guy. He had a remarkable season last year and really led Boston back to the top. But guys, I think it's time for them to trade Isaiah Thomas. I know it's only like 9 games into his tenure with Cleveland, but how are you going to play him against the one team you need to beat? And realistically, they're not winning a title if they don't meet Golden State. They're going to meet Golden State in the finals if they do make it that far. So there have been a lot of rumors going out, like who in the world can you trade Isaiah Thomas for at this point? Well, I think a place that makes sense is to move him to Charlotte and to try and get Kemba Walker back. Now, the logistics of that trade, I'm not exactly sure how you're going to do it. Right now, Isaiah Thomas has a $6 million salary. I believe Kemba Walker's is closer to like $12 or $13 million per year. So there'd be a little bit of some salaries that you need to match there. But here's why it makes sense for both teams. One, the Cavs can include Isaiah Thomas, who's an expiring contract. So the Hornets don't have to have that salary cap commitment, and basically can open up the space on their books. Right now, they have a ton of issues trying to. Their books are just loaded right now. They're paying Batum way too much money. They're paying Kid Gilchrist, who hasn't shown any offensive ability whatsoever, and they're paying people across the board. And they're one of the worst teams in the league right now. I don't know how you can justify that if you're Michael Jordan. I know Michael Jordan said he's only willing to trade Kemba for an All-Star. Well, Isaiah Thomas was an All-Star last year. I know he's not this year, but Michael might be the right move. And here's why it makes sense for the Cavs. Kemba Walker, nobody's going to say he's on Kawhi Leonard levels of defensive ability, at least he can stay on the floor against Steph Curry. Nobody's going to stop him. Curry's going to drop 35 when he wants to. The only thing you can do is make it more difficult on him. And Isaiah Thomas simply cannot do that at this point. He's 5'8", and honestly, you have to get a hand in Curry's face to contest, or he's going to just destroy you. And when Curry is rolling, that Golden State team is simply unbeatable. I'm not a big fan of the Warriors. I don't like how great the team is. I mean, you got to respect the greatness, but Curry, when he's rolling, that team is virtually unbeatable. And so you got to do something. And Kemba Walker can at least go out there and compete. And he's shown he's a huge competitor. You know, willing that UConn team back in 2011 to the national title. Just remarkable what he's done. And yeah, his Hornets team's not been so great recently, true. But he's a great competitor, and he wouldn't have to be the alpha in this scenario. LeBron can step back into the role. And what's also great, you know, Kemba's not a great shooter, but he can he's improved his three-point shooting. He can play off ball a little bit more. He's never been a huge ball-dominant guy. I think he'll average just like 5.5 assists per game. But it would allow Kevin Love to step back into that the 1B or second scorer in that Cavs offense and let Love get a little bit more comfortable, because he's really dropped off since Isaiah's come back. You know, they went on that 18-1 run earlier in the season with Kevin Love, really clicking, and LeBron was clicking. Isaiah comes back to try and integrate him back into the offense, and it's been a struggle. Kevin Love and Isaiah Thomas cannot play together right now, and really one of those guys has got to move. And the problem is both of them are a huge defensive liability right now. I mean, anywhere you look down, up and down that Cavs lineup, outside of LeBron, and maybe Jay Crowder if he can get his head right and start playing some defense again, defensive liabilities everywhere. And what are you going to do? So you really got to make a move there. And look, it looks bad right now, Cavs fans, but they're going to be okay. You still have the best player in the world. I know some people turn to Kevin Durant, but what LeBron has done is just truly remarkable. If you switched him and Durant's places, it wouldn't even be incomparable. I don't think Durant could have led this same Cavs team to the finals the last 3 years, and then the Heat the previous 4 before that. I mean, you can make the argument maybe Durant's a better scorer. Yeah, he's probably greatest offensive weapon we've seen. And it did throw in Curry in that discussion. Curry's an incredible shooter, but Durant can do it all. Has developing that post game. He has an outside jumper. He can drive to the rim. You know, he can take a shot over anybody at any time, because he's got that 7-footer with, I don't know, 7'5" wingspan, whatever it is. He can just shoot over the top. Even a great defender like Kawhi sometimes can't even contest him. So, I mean, you got to have some sort of defense out there to be able to contest those guys, and that's not the Cavs calling card right now. They got a bunch of old guys that maybe don't want to play defense, and right now they're banking on them flipping the switch. But I mean, are you really going to expect Kyle Korver to try and guard Klay Thompson? That didn't work very well last year. Is J.R. Smith going to be able to guard Curry at all? I don't think so. And you got to be able to have some more offense also around LeBron. I mean, I know he's such a great player, but if he has to do everything against the Warriors, they're in trouble. And if you bring in Kemba in, he can play off ball, let LeBron run the show, and then when he steps off, put Kemba back in there, let him run it. It's a possibility. It's not. Are they going to beat the Warriors with Kemba Walker? No, probably not. But at least you're a little bit closer. Like, do you want to go into the final just saying, okay, we're okay being swept? Because if they stick with Isaiah Thomas, realistically, that's most likely what's going to happen. Maybe go to 5 games, but could be a sweep. And at this stage in his career, LeBron's not going to want that. And if he gets swept by the Warriors, I honestly think he's going to go look for greener pastures. There's been a lot of rumors about him going to the Rockets, Lakers. Even ESPN has been talking about a lot recently the Spurs, which I would love. Realistically, it's probably not going to happen due to all the cap gymnastics that would have to go into that. But if you're Cleveland, this is your opportunity to keep the king in his hometown. He can leave at any point. So after this season, this might be his last season in Cleveland. The wine and gold. They got to make a move now and try and do something to keep him. Realistic, if they could get Paul George, it would be nice. But I don't think that's going to happen right now. Oklahoma City looks like they're going to want to keep it together and keep running and seeing what they can do with the three of Westbrook, Melo, and Paul George. Now, something else that came out last night, I'm a big Spurs fan. A lot of talk about Kawhi Leonard recently and the disdain and discord that he's had with the Spurs. Kind of has got me a little bit nervous. Kawhi is obviously a franchise cornerstone, and to see that he might be upset and could potentially want to leave, not a good sign for me. But at the end of the day, you got to trust Coach Popovich, R.C. Buford. They've been known to make it work. You know, LaMarcus Aldridge just 6 months ago wanted out. He wanted to be out of San Antonio, wanted traded, didn't feel like he fit in the system. And then Pop came, sat down with him, and said, let's air out our grievances. And they talked it out and determined, you know what, there's something each of us can do. Pop said, my fault. I need to run this better. I need to let you be you on the offensive side. And look at Aldridge now, back in the All-Star game, playing his best ball of his career in San Antonio, potentially the best basketball of his entire career overall. But it's really hard to make any judgments right now. Kawhi's not even playing. I think part of the reason there's all this disdain and discord is because he's so frustrated with his injury. And, you know, Spurs fans, I'm with you. I'm nervous that he might leave, but we got to trust in Greg Pop in the front office that it's going to work out. We'll see how it all plays out, but Kawhi's under contract for next year. The Spurs aren't going to trade him. I don't care any of these crazy trade scenarios that I've seen out there. It's not going to happen. Kawhi's not going anywhere from leaving silver and black unless the Warriors want to trade Durant and Curry, which isn't going to happen anyways. But hidden underneath that, not many people have been talking about it, but DeJounte Murray has been named the starting point guard for the Spurs. Tony Parker graciously just steps aside and allows the young kid to take the reins. And, you know, it's truly incredible. How many times have you seen star players throughout their careers not want to let the next guy step in? You know, Kobe was insistent all the way up until the end about jacking up his 19 shots, 20 shots a game, and was kind of stalled that development of all the young players that had. Tony Parker, look, nobody's going to confuse him with Kobe Bryant, but he's a future Hall of Famer. He's been big for France and in the international Olympics and different things like that. He's won 4 world titles with the Spurs, has been a major key of all their championship runs, graciously steps aside and says, you know what, Pop said this is what's best for the team, I'm going to let DeJounte run with it. And man, last night he showed why Pop is putting that faith in him. 19 points, 10 rebounds, and 7 steals. Now, again, the Cavs are playing horribly right now, so maybe don't look too much into that stat line, but DeJounte's really showing great instincts right now, getting into the passing lanes, getting those steals, and man, is he a good rebounder at that point guard position. 6'5", uses every bit of that wingspan to defend, rebound. He's got to work on the passing a little bit and maybe tightening up that handle, but the kid's got a bright future, I think. I mean, interesting to see what happens there. You know, I'm super excited for his future. You can run out potentially a lineup of him, Danny Green, Rudy Gay, Kawhi Leonard, and LaMarcus Aldridge, and maybe they could defend the Warriors. Probably not. I'm a little optimistic there because I'm a Spurs fan, but I'd like to see them try. We'll see if Kawhi can get back and healthy. Now, moving on, other big storyline of the night is the Celtics. 4 games stayed now. Their team's kind of tailing off right now. And maybe Celtics fans are starting to worry. Look, don't worry at all. You still have Kyrie Irving. You still have arguably one of the best coaches in basketball. I think Brad Stevens is the second best coach behind Greg Popovich right now. What he's done in these last 3-4 years with Boston is truly remarkable. You know, he's done more with less than anybody probably outside of Popovich in the league. Right now, Tatum and Brown are kind of going through the doldrums. They haven't ever played this many games in their career, this many minutes. So it's going to be a little bit of an adjustment. They're trying to get back up to steam. Tatum struggled recently, but Celtics are going to be okay. I mean, you got a good cushion ahead of the Raptors and the Cavs right now. I mean, the Cavs themselves are faltering. Celtics really need to secure that number 1 seed, though, if they have any chance of dethroning the Cavs in the Eastern Conference Finals. Because, honestly, LeBron's still got another gear that he can step into. If you look the last couple of years, the Celtics have been great in the regular season. Last year, they get the number 1 seed over the Cavs. But then they play the Cavs in the playoffs, and what has happened is the Cavs have this extra gear they can step into, and because the Celtics have this great coach, they operate at peak efficiency throughout the year, and they don't have that extra gear. And so the last few years, LeBron and company has been able to step it up, and 5-game series last year, and easily could have been a sweep if not for an Avery Bradley 3 at the buzzer to knock off the Cavs, I believe, in Game 4 last year. And so, you know, it looks like the Celtics are really close to the Cavs, and it looks like the Cavs have fallen off, but it's still LeBron James. And I don't know if the Celtics are quite there yet. There have been rumors that Gordon Hayward can come back, and, you know, maybe that helps them a little bit, especially with the young guys struggling as of late. But is Hayward going to be ready? Do they want to rush him back after that gruesome injury? I don't know. If I'm him, I lean more towards the cautious side and let him sit out the rest of the year and get his confidence back. It took Paul George quite a while to get back in after his horrible injury a few years ago. No need to rush him right now. I mean, he's got his whole career ahead of him. I believe 27-year-old Gordon Hayward, Kyrie's, I believe, 25, Jaylen Brown's 21, Tatum's 19 or somewhere around there. Got a bright young future. It's probably not going to happen this year, but I mean, they have as good of a chance as they've had any other year, probably a better chance than they've had to knock off the Cavs. Now, are they going to beat the Warriors? Not a chance. The Celtics can play defense with the best of them, but they're not going to be able to play defense well enough and score against that Warriors team, not in a 7-game series. Realistically, I don't know if there's anybody that can beat the Warriors right now. Rockets got a great 3-point shooting out there, and they've really started to step up their defense. But in a 7-game series, I don't know. I mean, Harden can be great, but he disappeared against the Spurs last year without Kawhi. So what can you really expect on the big stage? Chris Paul's never made it to the Western Conference Finals, which isn't entirely his fault. I mean, there's been a lot of things going on with his team, and he maybe hasn't always had the best supporting cast, and they haven't always performed in the playoffs. But still, that's a huge narrative going around. So it's kind of hard to see somebody knocking off the Warriors right now in the West Finals. But I mean, you never know. That's why they play the games. I mean, not rooting for an injury, but injuries do occur all the time. And maybe if an injury occurred to a Golden State player, then all of a sudden, you know, they go from being way up here, and then all of a sudden the gap kind of closes a little bit on them. It just really depends. I mean, you never know what's going to happen in the NBA. I'd like to think that the Spurs are going to be there, but you know, maybe Oklahoma City plays the Warriors in the second round, and Oklahoma City's probably not going to beat them, but they play that tough defense that maybe that physicality bothers Curry a little bit. Maybe it gets in the Warriors' heads. Who knows? And talking about the Warriors, Kevin Durant has gone off the rails recently. I believe he's had his 4th ejection in this year. Most he's had in his career. I think he had 1 ejection before this year. He has more ejections than every other team in the league, which is just incredible. He's already got 10 technical fouls in the year. I don't know what's going on there. He's a great player. He's arguably the best player on that team. Probably not the most valuable. I would say that's still Steph Curry. But what are you doing, man? Last night, 2 minutes left in the game. They're up 17, I believe. And then all of a sudden, he goes off the rails about not getting a foul call. I mean, Kevin Durant, you're one of the top 3 players in the league. Why are you doing this? I don't understand what he's thinking. I mean, I don't know if he's trying to prove himself to the refs, or, you know, who knows what's going on. He was this quiet guy back in Oklahoma City. Everyone accounted him to similar to a Tim Duncan type player, and that he went about his business, did it the right way, and all of a sudden he's blossomed out of his shell recently, and you know, started attacking these refs, and I don't really know what he's thinking there. I mean, I get it. He's a great player. They've got a great team, and you know, maybe he's expecting a little bit more calls because of that. But come on, man. Sometimes you gotta swallow your pride a little bit and just let the game go on. I mean, right now he's sitting at 10 technical fouls, and remember, if he hits 16, that's when suspensions start kicking in, and he could miss a game, and that happens in the playoffs. He could be forced to sit out a playoff game, which would be a big blow to this Warriors team. Yes, they still have Draymond, Clay, Curry. They're probably going to win without him anyways. But it's a chink in the armor you got to worry about if you're a Warriors fan. Now, look, they're gonna win. They're gonna win it all most likely, but still, you got to be smarter than this. Bigger things have toppled, or smaller things have toppled greater teams in the past. I mean, Shaq and Kobe had a huge feud that ended one of the greatest runs that we've seen. Michael Jordan retires in the middle of the Bulls' incredible run. They could have feasibly won 8 titles in a row. So, Durant, KD, gotta keep your head, man. I don't understand what he's doing, but this Warriors team is remarkable. I mean, they could win without Durant. They could potentially even win without Curry. It's crazy to say that you could be without one of the top 5 players in the league and still win the championship, but realistically, that's what we're looking at for the Warriors. Anyways, I think that's all I've got for you today, guys. I hope you enjoyed watching. I'll be trying to post some more videos in the next coming weeks. Thank you again. I hope you enjoyed this talk about the latest events in the NBA, and maybe we'll talk about the Super Bowl upcoming next week. So, thanks, guys.